It's 9 o'clock. Please stand and say the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Mr. Thompson's gone, so I'm taking his place, and I'll stumble through it with Angie's help. So, first order of business would be a motion to approve the minutes of Tuesday, May the 27th, 2025 as written.
Also moved. Second it.
It's been moved by Peterson, seconded by Barker. Any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? As you do go through these,
Tax abatement,
pardon,
the tax abatement? Okay.
that's what we would do now. This is a motion to authorize and direct the chairman to sign 2 tax abatements in the amount of $1,809.78. And what this is, I went and talked to Stella this morning, and it's on a 550 truck that had blown an engine apparently in 22. And the correct paperwork, if I understand it right, wasn't presented, and so there was penalty, and now everything's been paid. Everything's been paid, and so this is the end result of the penalty stayed in place, but this is the end result of the tax abatement. So I guess if there's any other questions or whatever, but that's what it is.
I make a motion to approve the amendment.
I'll second that. It's been moved by Barker, seconded by McCurry to authorize and direct, to sign, to direct the chairman to sign 2 tax abatements in the amount of $1,809.78.
Actually, it's the vice chairman.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, I just put it in there.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
If you want to hold off on those, you can.
Okay, so I can go on to ready, Ms. Jill. Extension Agent Joe Barnhart, 2026 budget request.
Hello. I'm Jill Barnhart. I'm the Ag and 4-H agent in the Coffee County Extension Office. And I brought with me Cassidy Luke. She's our FACS and 4-H agent. Board member Amy Ludlum and Megan Wilson, chair. And Megan's going to go ahead and present to you today.
Morning. So, as the chair of the Extension Council here in Coffee County, we put together a little pamphlet that kind of tells you what we do in Coffee County. Currently, like our biggest program is the 4-H and youth programs that our office administrators. Both Jill and Cassidy are hands-on with the 4-H youth. Currently, we have 18 Clover Buds, and those are students who are aged between the ages of 5 and 6. And so they're not quite eligible to be an official 4-H member, but we also have 161 youth enrolled and 48 volunteers. All of those volunteers are background tested and to work with youth here at Coffee County. As you can see, when we submitted our budget request, we are asking the county for $243,539. That is a little bit above what we requested last year, but it is still under what we requested in 2024. In 2024, we purchased a vehicle. In 25, we didn't have any major purchases, but with this upcoming fiscal year, we are looking at purchasing a coffee machine. The one we currently have is over 10 years old and has lived way beyond its successful life. So with that, we also have the cost of living raises in there for our agents and office staff, and the insurance is going up just like everything else. K-State also kind of subsidizes our agent payroll expenses, so their contributions have, trickled up in the past several years. So, do you have any questions for us?
Is that the actual number that KSU supports? That
The 40,231 would be next year's support for K-State, yes.
What's under the reimbursements? You get $15,000 in there. Where do those come from?
So, the way it works is, are you talking about specifically for one year or the other, or just in general?
Just in general.
Okay, so we have to allow so much in our budget, obviously, to operate within that number. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, actually, we received a grant, and through that grant, any of our grant funding, it has to go into that reimbursement file, because it's coming in. We can't.
Income.
It's income. We can't show that we're gonna get it because we don't know if we're gonna get it. So that's what we put that number in as. And then also to help operate some of our 4-H expenses, they have to go through our extension council because we can't have a credit card on the 4-H side. So funds, we've gotta allow for those kind of things in there. So it's nothing in particular other than a safety for us.
So it's
And
set
if we-
aside.
It's set aside, so if we get a grant, that we can allow those income funds to come in, or if we get sponsorship support, for an event that we're having or something, those funds can go in, and then they're gonna go back out. We're gonna expend all of them, but that's what those are for.
All right. Thank you. Got a question on cost of living increases. Where are they based on? Cost of living?
Well, it's kind of like what our board will discuss as a group. A lot of times we go off of what you guys set for the county, because the extension is kind of a unique situation where they are kind of a county employees to an extent, but really, we're kind of on our own little pod out there, so,
I mean, different entities go off with some different criteria. I'm just curious.
Yeah, usually we're basing it off whatever you're doing at the county level with the state, with whatever K-State mixes into it, if there's any difference.
Okay. Thanks.
I don't have anything else. Thank you so much.
No other questions for any of us?
thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it all.
Take care.
Thank you.
Move to, need a motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Keani Truelove, county attorney, summer intern, new hire, pay category 5, step 1, wage $15.54 an hour, hours not to exceed 1,000, effective June 2nd, 2025.
Is that one of these two ways?
Yep.
You pronounce that Kane?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I messed up the name. All right.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
It's been moved by Abendroth, seconded by Peterson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Gracie, is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Need-
Get it? Here. You just have to scroll it. That way.
A motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Gracie Smith, county attorney summer intern, new hire, pay category 5, step 1, wage $15.54 an hour, hours not to exceed 1,000.
Motion.
It's been moved by Hammond-Draw, seconded by Barker. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Here, wait, have something to say.
Well, since you have a little bit of time between now and your next topic, I'd ask for both of them to come up and introduce themselves and want to ask, kind of tell them who they are, what they're up to, and why they're interested, and then if you have any questions for them.
How
Hi.
are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good.
Good. I'm Gracie Smith. I'm from Osage City, Kansas. Ellie Shoemaker worked in this office last year. I'm really good friends with her, and she kind of recommended this really highly. I am working on a business degree at Cali College right now, where I play softball. And after that, I'll continue on and thinking about going into law. So this position is going to give me a lot of really good insight into either what kind of law I want to go into, or even if I make sure that this is really a field that I want to get signed for all of the schooling. But yeah. Thank you. That's me.
I'm Kane Truelove. I live here in Burlington.
How do you pronounce your first name?
Kane.
Kane, okay.
I go to K-State currently, working on ag economics. I'm doing this just to make sure I really want to do law. I'm kind of interested in being a prosecutor. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Welcome to.
Thank you.
So they'll be immersed in a little bit. I told them this is part of it, and then I'll get to go into the courtroom, see that side of things, and then here, hopefully in a week or two, you'll see, similar to last year, Brian Peterson was here. He was a second-year law student. You'll see a familiar face come back, Cale Johnson. He's going to come back and serve in that capacity. He just finished his second year of law school at Washburn, and he'll actually get to go into the courtroom and get his temporary license and handle cases. So they'll both be able to pick his brain on his experience, because he sat in their seat several years ago and actually was a summer intern. So I think it'll be beneficial. Get to be exposed on both the civil and the criminal side.
Well, Gracie and Kane, you've got a good mentor. You'll enjoy him.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm here.
Should I go ahead and do the next one? Stacy Park, okay. We need a motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Stacy Parks, jail assistant cook, new hire, part-time, wage classification 20-1, wage $17.93, effective date 5/29/2025. I'll second. It's been moved by Peterson, seconded by McCray. Any other discussion? Thank you. If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We need a motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Amanda D. Melton, jail assistant cook, new hire, wage classification 20-1, wage $17.93. I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved by McCray, seconded by Barker. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Move to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Brad Barrett, sheriff deputy, new hire, part-time, wage classification 40-4, wage 2368, effective 6/6 of 2025.
Move.
I'll second. It's been moved by Avondra, seconded by McCray. Any other discussion? All in
Just looking
favor?
for Rhonda. You said Rhonda was in here? Drew up?
No.
On discussion, I mean, I was curious, I mean, is this patrol, like part-time,
Which one?
or Bradbury?
Yeah, he's part-time.
Is it like patrol? It says deputy, but, I mean, it doesn't have to do with courthouse. Is this the same Bradbury that represents us? Yeah.
Yeah, he's been involved in law.
He was a deputy here.
You hear it all the time.
Yes.
Shawnee County.
Yes.
Yeah, I have no problem with
Did I do, all in favor?
that. Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Felix Nunez, sheriff deputy, new hire, wage classification 40-4, wage 2368 an hour, effective 6/9/2025. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved by McCray, seconded by Barker.
Peterson.
I'm sorry, Peterson. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion to authorize and direct the vice chairman to sign the Coffee County payroll notice for Kelly Roney, jail, lead cook, step change, grade change, wage classification from 3516 to 3021, wage from 2632 to 2663, effective 5/16/2025.
All right.
It looks like that would be dropping.
Got it. Dropping in.
But I mean, it's going from 35 to 30, is that correct, or?
Well, the salary's not dropping.
The salary's not dropping.
I mean,
But
Where was she?
she's a jailer, what I was thinking, is she transferring over to full-time cook then?
Is that what it is?
Yes.
So the classification would
Change,
change? Would it
change a little bit, yeah. Seems she can still be a jailer.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second it.
Been moved by McCray, seconded by Peterson. Any other discussion? Signify by, all in favor, say aye. Aye. So that takes care of all that, right? So we can go ahead to Ty Wheeler.
How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. Do you guys mind if I have a seat here instead of standing? Because quite frankly, I got a knee, I'm going to see my doctor to get replaced.
No.
And standing is worse than walking. Walking, I'm fine. Standing, like waiting for an elevator, oh my gosh.
So how's things going with you?
Work, more work, and more housework than I know what to do with.
Hello.
Hopefully you got one for everybody on there, if not, I got some more. Kelly get that wrong? Ooh, might have got a commissioner. Yes. I'll follow up with the correct letter, and I'm so sorry, Mike. I hate to say this, I didn't actually look to make sure it was correct. Okay, I'm Todd Wheeler, I work in legal service. I'm the managing attorney, work at an office in Emporia. We actually have 13 statewide offices, and we are a not-for-profit law firm. We operate under the same rules as every other lawyer up and down the street operates under. To probably say this joke, it doesn't go over very well, but we're in it not to make money. Some years we do too good at that. Some years we break even a little bit, maybe 1% or 2% profit. We're trying to increase that. I've got a new executive director who is very much about making us actually function like a law firm, not making us function like a charity. So we're in the process of changing a lot of how we do things. Emporia, I've been here 32 years now, I'll be 33 in October. The last 2 or 3 years, probably the hardest time I've had in legal services. A lot of that is because hiring an attorney to Emporia, Kansas is like pulling teeth. I have literally had a job application or ad out at the universities at KU, Washburn, UMKC for the last 3 years, pretty much continuously. I think I've gotten 5 qualified resumes. A bunch of others that aren't even in law school yet, but I don't know why they apply. But of the 5 quality resumes that I've gotten in, found out one was not actively having a license. I found out that one didn't want to come to work for legal services because he was making too much money doing research on the side. And then made an offer to one young man. He ended up taking a job in our Wichita office for $5,000 less than working in Emporia. I don't know why. And then another young lady told me she found out she was pregnant. She's going to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. I don't blame her on that one. But it's been incredibly tough. Right now I'm actually up to staff. I have David Suarez, who started last month. He's been here less than a month. I've got Nick Baylor, who's been here since May. Well, it's almost a year now. But he's fresh out of law school and, you know, fun to deal with kids that are younger than my kids. So, a whole different generation in my generation. So basically for almost most of last year, we're down to 2 attorneys, 1 attorney short. And our numbers stayed pretty much the same in Coffee County. I try to get over here as often as I can. I sort of enjoy coming over here. Judge Wine and I get along very well, and local bar, I get along fairly well with what's left of it, because what's left of it is not much. When I started in Emporia, we had 56 members of the bar. We're down to 22. And 5 of them are in the county attorney's office, 3 of them are in my office. That tells you what the bar, I mean, if you're looking to be employed and work hard, become a lawyer and move to somewhere in rural Kansas. Because in my 7 counties, I've got 7 counties I operate in, I can think of 3 counties that have 1 or less practicing attorneys. Chase County, nobody. The only attorney from Chase County now is Doug Jones, who's a judge. Morris County, you've got Judge Byer and Carol Bryant, who sits and does bank work, doesn't do any legal work, doesn't do a criminal case. And then you've got Ashley Iverson, whose husband was an attorney until he got disbarred. And a lot of people don't want to go to Ashley because of that. So, you know, when I go to Chase County, when I go to Morris County, when I even come over here, oftentimes it's to be against another attorney from Emporia or Topeka or Kansas City or Manhattan. We have 2 parts of our office that we really do. In Lyon County, Morris County, we have a public defender contract. We're the person who is appointed to represent people who don't have an attorney. And we take those contracts, basically keeps the lights on in the office. I have to scramble every day to figure out how to fund the cases we do, because nobody pays for an entire case. I get a little bit of money from the Coffee County Commission, I get a little bit of money from the federal government, I get a little bit of money from the state, and I can do a case. It takes me an extra hour to come over here, an extra hour to get back home for any case I do in Coffee County. So your money helps offset that, allows me to do cases here about as easily as I can do them in Lyon County. And the cases we did for you last year, looks like we represented 25 people in Coffee County. 13 of those were here in District Court. 12 of those were over in Burlington City Court. I had been doing that until late last year. I sort of knocked that off for a while because I was short-staffed. I'll probably be getting back on that list because I enjoy practicing in front of Judge Campbell. He's sort of a fun judge to be in front of because he just sort of takes the reins and runs, and Phil and I try to keep up. I did one successful kids Social Security case. We used to do all kinds of adults and kids Social Security cases. And I used to like it because I used to get to come here and answer a question that I think Commissioner Mary asked me one day, what's your financial impact? And I used to be able to come in and say, hey, my office put $700,000 back in the community last year. Now we're just doing kids cases. I put $230,000 back in the communities. But the adult cases are now done in Topeka, Wichita, and Kansas City, because that's where the hearing offices are. And it's easier to not have the attorney drive to the hearings, because now we do a lot of our meetings are now by Zoom, because it's just easier for us to talk to the client directly over Zoom than it is to make the client drive in. Even when they're local in Emporia, they'd rather sit at home and Zoom from the living room than, you know, come into my office. I think that's probably because they got to change out of their PJs. But we did 3 divorces, 6 protection order cases. Those are people who are seeking a restraining order, usually from domestic violence. I think I did 1 really intense stalking case over here. And actually, I think Wade ended up putting him in jail. So, it is what it is. We did 2 expunges over here. We have a gentleman in Emporia who came to us one day and asked, hey, do you do expunges? And I said, yeah, but not very often because nobody wants to fund those. And the next week I got a call from the Emporia Community Foundation. There were $50,000 worth of soybeans sitting in the elevator waiting for us to claim it. And he said, I want you to use that money to help people do expunges. Not because I'm so worried about what they can do job-wise. He says, because I'm worried about what people feel about themselves. And it's true, I have not done all that many expunges for the last 2 years. And it's amazing the change in attitude that somebody has when they clean their record up. You know, before they're thinking, God, I'm a felon, I'm a bad guy, I've been in trouble. And all of a sudden it's like a whole new lease on life. And their attitudes are amazing. And their stories are usually pretty amazing about what they've done to change their life around.
So they get a second chance.
Well, convictions come off their record.
Right.
For everything except for, you know, becoming a law enforcement officer, your criminal history when you come back to court. But you can go out to somebody and apply for a job down at the Casey's and say, I've never been convicted before. You don't have to tell them that.
Right.
And that's a big thing, and it's a big thing, they just feel better about themselves. We work very diligently to do what we do. There are some things we don't do. You know, if you want somebody to sue somebody for a bunch of money on a malpractice or a wrongful death or accident, I'm not doing that. If you want to do a divorce case with a $2 million estate involved, I'm probably not touching with a 10-foot pole. I'm calling somebody down the street and saying, hey, I got somebody for you. Now, I'll go in and get them the restraining order to stop him from beating her up or stop him from molesting the kids or whatever it is. And then I'll pass the case off to somebody else. But most often it's the other way around. There's an attorney calling me saying, hey, I got a young lady in my office who really needs a divorce. She's getting pretty well abused, and she can't afford my retainer. And I'm like, have her do an application and see if she applies for it. and we go from there. But if you ask Wade, if you ask other attorneys in town, what we do, we're probably the best at it. You know, I've been here 32 years. If I don't know the answer, I know somebody who I can ask.
You say you're still too short in your office, is that right?
Well, we were a 4-attorney office for about 5 years. Then we had a terrible stroke of luck in that the federal government cut us. At the same time, I had an attorney quit. So that got us down to a 3-attorney office for about 2 years. And then we were back up. I had Molly Priest and Leah Soretti working in my office. Molly got an offer to go be the Lyon County counselor, and just so happened that the counselor and Mark Goodman were both getting ready to retire, and they told Molly, we'll hire you in as an assistant county counselor, but then when those two retire, you'll be the one, and we're gonna pay you $155,000 a year. And I'm like, I can't compete with that for a relatively young attorney. And then Leah Soretti went to work for Young Williams. And then Brian Henderson, who had been a county attorney, who's Molly's husband, came to work for us, and now he's the Chase County attorney. So it's just, you know, it's been musical chairs lately, and I'm trying to keep up as best I can. And, you know, I keep putting off having this knee done because I don't have anybody in the office to cover stuff. And my doctor this last time was like, you need to come get that done. And I'm like, well, how long will I be out? And he just, 2 months. So, but I can tell you, if you have people who have legal issues that come before you, send them to me. If I don't know the answer, I can send them to somebody who does. I mean, it might be Wade's office, or it might be, you know, somebody who does personal injury cases.
I'm curious, on the Children's Disability Project, what does that pertain to?
We help families whose children are disabled. They're in a wheelchair, they're blind, they have severe mental illness, some sort of thing. And I think we took 12 of them last year, and we won 7. So.
And that's for Social Security, is that?
Yes, that's for Social Security benefits.
Right.
And most of those kids, once they get on benefits, depending on what the reason they're on benefits for example, if you're in a wheelchair and you get on benefits, you're probably staying on those benefits probably for the rest of your life. I don't understand how they live on that, but,
Sure.
you know, it makes life survivable. And all that money ends up getting spent locally because people who are making $800, $900 a month do not go to the plaza to go shopping.
So I was just curious what that pertained to.
We're asking for a modest raise for next year of $500, but we appreciate all the help you've done, and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Last year was 12,000, is that correct?
That's correct. If you guys don't have any other questions, I'll let you get on here with your business.
Sir, we don't take so much time.
No problem. I like coming over here. Coffee County is probably one of my favorite counties. I mean, it's just, I come over here, they're nice, they're polite, and they're laid back. So,
That's good.
You guys want to give me your budget stuff? I'll put them in your
Later one.
for later.
Thanks, later. Good to see you.
And
Good
then
to see you.
legal service
Oh,
stuff.
that's why I've heard you've been during that.
Oh, I can,
Sorry.
Yeah,
And then your book.
I've been making notes on mine.
Oh, okay, I'll just make some new ones for you, sorry, that's all right. I just thought if you had them. Do you have some ways or the? Oh, you did.
Are you, Rhonda?
Okay, do you want to look at one?
no, I know it's way too low. Should be double or triple that.
Good request.
Oh, yeah, for what they do and the service they provide.
It's really a good
I'm
service.
shocked every time I see it, but that's his request.
How are they, what else are they funded with? Is it state monies?
I think it's a pool of money from multiple different sources. Yeah.
Apparently Soybeans.
Soybeans, that's a very good, project. I've seen many more expungement requests based on that donation. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, they do a lot of good work. That's just like on the children's side of it. Oh, that's,
So I don't see him on the criminal side, because there's actually a local panel that's a part of that, but as he indicated, if someone files for a PFS or a PFA, if somebody violates that, then it's a criminal action. That's what he's referencing. As soon as there's a violation, then it either will go to the city or the county in a criminal case. But what he's indicating on the attorney side is a statewide issue for a lack of attorneys to actually fill in the voids in practice. I know these Cherokee County, for an example, my understanding is they're having attorneys from Douglas County, Johnson County, Wyandot County handle cases in Cherokee County because they don't have the attorneys to deal with that. And
One of those cases he took in Burlington Municipal Court, he took those because they did not have the attorneys.
is that
At that
right?
point. So they, was Kansas Legal Services, they stepped in to help out there for a while. They're still short attorneys, but I think they're doing a little bit.
Yeah.
For municipal.
And to hire an attorney, I talked to practicing attorneys who have probably equivalent experience. Some of them graduated when I graduated, and they recently upped their hourly rate to $3.50 an hour or higher, which actually could be higher based on their experience. And there's just no attorneys here. I don't know the numbers are what they are in Emporia, for example. Used to be in the 50s, and now what do you say, 20, 22, or 20?
In the 20s.
Yeah.
Okay. Housing Authority Director Rhonda Gilbert. How are you, Rhonda?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing my request. Vernon Williams came into our office and asked about demolishing this in Leroy. This is the old, what they call the Legion building there on the highway. They had hoped to save it, and, you know, they just feel like it's just not worth it. The floor is very soft, it's very, it's just not able to be, and so they're going to demolish it themselves, and then I think they'll just have a vacant lot there. They don't have plans at this time to put anything back, but definitely right there on the highway, it would be, you know, quite a nice solution.
Just cleaning the lot up.
At this time, yeah.
Projected start date?
Right away, kind of sounded like, I mean, you know, you guys have a deal in here in my thing, you know, that we have to have it done within a 12-month period, so,
And they're gonna, I'm sorry, they're gonna demolish it themselves and.
they did do that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll move to waive landfill fees for structure owned by Vernon and Christine Williams, located at 226 6th Street, Leroy, Kansas.
I'll second that. It's been moved by Peterson, seconded by McCurry. Waive landfill fees for a structure owned by Vernon and Christine Williams. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 And we'll go on to the budget, if you guys have one of those.
Do I need to give them copies?
Brad had him, did Brad not
Oh,
give him?
well, no, hold on.
I am so
No,
sorry.
you're fine,
We
you're
brought
fine.
him over last
No,
week.
you're fine. I think they're on.
Okay, sorry about that.
Everything's going well, right?
Good,
Good.
good day.
Good. Makes time go faster, right?
Yeah. So sorry about that, didn't have it before, and I wouldn't have started talking there, but, basically, we are asking for a little bit of an increase, as you all know, property taxes, insurance, I'm sure that's kind of the same thing everyone's talking about, has increased and everything. Our developers incentive group is going really well, our program on that. Right now I have 4 in process. Demolition, of course, is just in case we get something that's just a hardship of sorts or anything like that. Local rehab, I'm still trying to get all the housing preservation grants that I can. Our USDA one has taken a little bit of a hit with the government situation, where we had several in the state. Now we are down to 3, and that's really tough, but we already have a grant, so we're working through it. But I had a lady from Ohio the other day that was, going over my stuff, which is okay, but it was just like, that's kind of the way that it's going towards. But we are still going to try to get another HPG, Housing Preservation Grant, for this year and everything if the funding is there. I do have to have match funding for that, or I have, and this is my 14th, I believe, 15th. So that's always a good thing to get that funding in here. Of course, funding's cut. We're still going to try to go after if the moderate income housing grants ever come back. Of course, we were trying that. We've got it in place. It's just to get developers and to be able to get the funding and everything. But everything is a little bit on hold right now. We have the reimbursements, which is we do have on the preservation side that if it goes over a little bit of what we can do for a grant, because our grant is up to $5,000, and if it goes over a little bit, they can pay us back the amount over, and so that's kind of what the reimbursements are. Questions you guys have?
Are you still doing much on the demolition sites?
On the what?
Demolition sites?
Demolition site? Not too much. It's just if a hardship comes in that they cannot pay, we do have that little bit in there to be able to, and if we don't, we just, it's an online item, we just switch it over to rehab, county rehab.
Have you had a lot of people request help with demolition?
Sometimes we've had, yes, they would like for us to go back to the old way where we used to come to you guys and get a set amount and then go clean up, areas and stuff like that. But I know that we kind of set a new policy about that, just waiving landfill fees and stuff. So I do get requests for it, which is a good cleanup, but I understand money.
Do you still have, the house in Gridley?
I do still have the house, the partnership with the city of Gridley. They just had an open house over their alumni, and we are getting ready to put a sidewalk in, and that's the only thing that we hadn't done, and everything, we're just letting everything settle and stuff. And so, but yeah, we still do have that one. We've been showing it a lot. We get a lot of views on Zillow and things like that, but it is.
And then the one in Waverly, is it really?
That one is, it's in a year lease, and it'll come up in September, and then he needs to make a decision whether he wants to buy it. When he asked if he could rent it, he would like a year to kind of decide, does he like it here, does he want it, and I think, I haven't heard that he doesn't like it or anything like that. But we'll reach out to him soon and just say, hey, the lease is coming up, and do you want to pursue that, or it'll go back on the market
I just
officially.
noticed the for sale sign wasn't,
Right, he asked us to take it down, we did, because we
Right.
didn't want people, you
right,
know,
it's on the back
stopping
side.
at his house.
No, that's right.
Yeah, so,
So,
but yeah, we will, put it back up officially, and,
after,
after the September, if he does not decide to take it, we're hoping he's gonna take
you
it.
know, hopefully so.
Yeah, getting invested in the community.
Yeah.
We still look at things, we've got a couple in the works that are a possibility about moving, but, you know, it depends on how far you have to move it and everything for it to work out, and so we're kinda been careful on that with fuel and everything like that, so it's kinda kicking us a little bit, so it's nice to keep that stuff out of the landfill, but
Yeah,
you also have to be able to make it back. So.
sure.
The Burlington Triplex, everything's going well there. Leroy, we still do have a little bit of a loan on it. Hopefully we'll finish that up soon, if not this year, the first of next year, so.
That's on the,
Leroy one.
Leroy.
Mhm.
I don't have anything else.
Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, you know where I'm at, so.
We're good.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Rhonda. Great. How you doing?
Time is in, I suppose. Just get time is in.
Yeah, we'll take a, what's our next thing?
So it's 10 minutes.
Yeah, 10-minute, break. We'll come back in at 9:57. Just broke.
Yep.
Okay, we're back in session. How are you folks? SOS Crisis Service Director Mary Halloran and Child Advocacy Center Director Jenny Samples.
Wrong people? Who do we have here?
We're with Warren.
Okay. Hold on a minute, what do you think?
Heroes full.
There's full.
Heroes full.
Oh, Euro's full.
10.
Oh, okay, so we had that, sorry,
Oh,
they didn't
I'm
have you
sorry.
coming in for that. They had just the sheriff's office.
Yeah, she asked us to come and
Oh,
Okay.
you support? Okay, okay. I'm sorry.
Welcome, I'm sorry, welcome.
I thought you were SOS too for a minute there. Well, you got 10 minutes before they're here, so.
Okay,
Sheriff's office is who they're with.
okay, so Tom will be up here, is that correct?
Or Lauren, yeah.
Or Lauren?
I'm sorry, we're sorry.
No, I just,
We got confused. Well, I guess if you want, you could sign some stuff there.
okay. Did you want, this is,
Yeah. If you have your housing authority badges, I'll take this if you want me to, otherwise I'll make copies.
I'm sorry, Libby,
You're fine. No apology and.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move the copies to the table. Do you know which one?
Mm-hmm.
so we can go ahead and.
Yeah, and you're the one who needs to sign those at the bottom there. Does it say vice chairman?
Chairman,
Okay, all right, vice chairman, if you just want to sign.
you want to date it?
You can or I can, whatever.
Hard tellers.
And this is signature, is this?
Those are the signatures, yes, and we just do.
Do you all want to sign on this or?
Just you.
How are you?
Good, how about yourself?
Good. I don't think any other signatures needed on that line, this is all you, Pat. You might check those ones. Can you go ahead now?
Sure.
Okay. We'll catch you on the way back. Okay,
I think Tom is on his way in.
okay, do you want me to wait for Tom?
He'd probably like to be here.
Okay, Bob. How are you, Angie?
Good, how are you?
Good.
No, we got more coming.
We usually work on them throughout July and then,
How are you?
we publish 2 weeks, right, 2 weeks, and then August 15th is
I just heard some comment at the hospital. Hospital, having 14th.
June 10th is deadline to have theirs
Oh, approved. So we,
Next
next week.
Week from tomorrow. They, the only budget we have to approve statutory. I mean,
Are you Tom?
Fine, I'm away today, so yeah, I'm fine.
You're away today.
I think you'd rather be Tom.
Give me 2 weeks. So we can get this deal.
Getting close, huh?
So we're so close, we get so far. It's concrete and asphalt done today, and please let's get through today. Supposed to rain tomorrow, supposed to get the second. Lay our asphalt down, they're not get it done.
That seems 2 to 3 inches.
Pardon me?
2 to 3 inches of rain in the next
I
couple
don't care whether the F inch rain, they won't be able to do any asphalt, you know what I mean?
So, you got everybody here that's coming in, is that right, Tom?
I think so.
I believe so.
Alrighty, Coffee County Sheriff's Office Heroes Poll.
All right, last year, we hosted the first Heroes Pool, and it was a major success. Basically, teams registered to pull our SRT Bear 75 feet, and then a fire truck 75 feet per time. And the goal is to raise money for Special Olympics Kansas, and this year also, some of the funds are gonna go directly back to COF services. So last year, the commission, got trophied the award for most funds contributed to the Heroes Pool. We ended up raising over $10,000. We have some members from COF. Dawn Brennan is here. She kind of heads the Special Olympics part of the COF program. So we're back to ask you. Here's some information about the event and kind of what we did last year.
And if the commission, would like to put a team together, we would be more than welcome, to have you as a team to pull against, everybody,
We need some competition.
Yeah.
These guys do.
Pull against who?
So
Whatever can show up.
So we have 3 divisions this year. Last year we did 1 division, and Special Olympics athletes really gave us the what for and how strong they really are. And I think pulled through with the fastest time. But this year we'll have 3 divisions. We'll have an adult division, a Special Olympics division, and a youth division. So if you want to get families together and try to help you pull, people can be extra strong. But last year you donated $3,000 to the fundraiser.
Like the teams that sign up to pull, does it cost anything to sign up to pull?
No, so Special Olympics has it set up so that you can register a team online. It doesn't cost anything. They give you fundraising pages, one for the team and one for individuals, so you can share your link and try and get money raised that way.
I see.
This year we're just asking that teams raise at least $20 a member. So if you have 10 members on your team, $200 for your team. Yep, and then we'll give you a special or a Heroes Pull T-shirt as well.
How many teams last year?
10.
10?
Yeah.
Maybe you said that.
Yeah, last year it was 5 Special Olympics teams. I think we had 2 from the Sheriff's Office and then 3 from the community. So most of the funds that we raised actually came from businesses and entities that donated ahead of time.
Sure.
Or we had a Dunk the Sheriff, and a lot of it came from that as well. I think over $1,000 came from the Dunk
He was
tank.
popular.
They like seeing me underwater and gasp, I guess. It's for a great cause, so. We already got fire teams, firefighters from around the county said they want to put a team together this year after seeing it last year. It's fun to see, pulling those trucks.
Do what?
3 and 8 had a team.
I've taken over, I've told them they don't need
guys this
to.
year, maybe 7.
I'm out of here.
31 to 41.
And the funds are gonna go back to, for COF, but for the actual Special Olympics team, so we can buy equipment and jerseys and, anything that we need. We do several activities throughout the year. We do basketball, cornhole, fishing tournaments, we do, track and field, so it helps provide snacks and food and all those other travel expenses, hotel expenses. We're actually getting ready this weekend to do state track and field, so we'll have a send-off at 10 a.m.
And where's that at?
It's gonna be at Nace, Kansas.
Oh, okay.
So, we have 20 athletes, going to represent
Wow.
all 3 counties. So it's gonna be a 2-night hotel stay, in Wichita, and so we have a whole bunch of activities all throughout the weekend, so.
You said you're lining up on 75, right, at 10?
Yep.
If you guys are available, just to stand out there and say good
Cheer song.
So this is what we did last year.
Yes, I'm looking it up right now. Yeah, that's what you did, exactly last year. I made the motion again.
Was last year the first year for this,
Well,
or the second year?
The Sheriff's Office has participated in law enforcement torch run events in other ways for years, but this was the first
First year
big
for
event
this.
for the Heroes Bowl, yeah.
Do you want to take it from the same place you did last year?
Yeah,
Where did it come from last year?
Last year it was, general fund, courthouse general line item. Contractual line item.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a ledge and I'm gonna make a motion to contribute $3,000. I'll second it.
been moved by Avondroth, seconded by Peterson. Parker, I'm sorry. To contribute $3,000 to the Coffee County Sheriff's Office 2025 Heroes Poll, with funds to come from general fund, courthouse general contractual line item.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you guys.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll see
you there.
Yeah, see you there.
How soon
Soon as
do you
they
need
come on.
that done?
We may try this year.
Yeah.
Anytime between now and
That's good.
Younger guys.
You'll need them. It's really pretty cool because they hook a rope to the front of these trucks and they go in front. So I really think that's all they do.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
It's only been weird. Thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, last year we used, because engine time line, we had the SRT.
Yeah.
And it's
All that it is.
and if you get in there and push, you only want to do it like 2 times, because that's a team. They just like, I don't know if they would do it.
I can tell. Let's see, where we at now? That's this.
Waiting on them.
Yeah, so that's some time.
Guess
So
we
you've got
sign.
special issues, you can.
Oh, did, no,
You only sign the check.
and pass this on to.
Yeah, you wanna sign that first report
Okay,
and then pass it on.
okay.
Is it possible to have Heidi come up early?
We could, let's see, what's she gonna talk about? Yeah, let me go get her.
This one?
Do you wanna do that?
I think that was
You wanna
supposed
get
to be done.
Heidi?
Yes, yes. I wasn't even thinking, and yeah, that would be good. We could,
That was the extensions based upon what we hear from him. Hey, Angie, I think it was there on purpose. I think it was after Dr. Wyatt on purpose.
Oh, okay,
We,
okay, I won't.
I had forgotten about that.
all of this. Is that one package? Yeah, Angie?
Yep.
On this, I signed in the chairman's spot, is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Okay.
you're on your signature card, so it'll be
Okay.
good. Okay, please,
You got it?
just take these out.
Laying all that asphalt and concrete today. Make that look good.
Yeah, well,
We'll have another thing out from the front. It really makes it pop. Yeah, I drove by through there last night on the golf cart.
then on this, it has a, does this mean anything as far as?
No, you don't need to.
Okay.
Angie, is there any word on how Brad's doing?
And the who?
Brad?
I haven't heard, you're talking about his, yeah, I just knew he was gonna be off for about 6 or 8 weeks. But yeah, we haven't heard.
insinuate on these, I just signed it off.
Did you get the checks out of there? Oh, the fees? You did get the checks. They're there.
Oh.
You're good.
Morning. How are you ladies?
Very good, thank you.
Now this is in someone else's phone.
Yes.
So we bought a container for the sheriff's office. 40-foot double door cube new.
Do you want me to call somebody up?
Might be down for the minutes or something.
You're right, Lance.
Don't know if that went to the annex or not.
Oh,
We bought it
now
to-
there it is.
Move stuff up the road so we can get storage. Get some things like that. New jail, a lot of stuff down there. It's like to stay.
Shoveled around.
Well, it's going to stay.
Should we go ahead and wait this, or wait until, I could wait, they're set up for, 10:30.
You can either keep going on that,
Absolutely.
Are you good for waiting for just a bit? Sure. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, usually I'm a little bit more active, but we have a couple feedback as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't get to the bottom, but that's right.
Waiting to see if they.
Yep. Yeah, it was really here in the, I think that was her 10th year, probably, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Baking.
Baby.
But I thought they got a lot stronger towards the end of the season, for sure. Hmm. Yeah. Good, good. Thank you.
Not anything, my days are over. Yeah. No, I don't think I want to be on their team. Got their moments. Caught one time, I will never do it again.
We'll try.
It's a good job. Big guy.
That's what we do.
And more reinforcements to come.
Tracy, you said that you play softball, is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool. You played so long,
I sure do.
No, that's good.
We play busy.
I bet you do.
Mm-hmm.
When we get this one, we can stop by and go ahead and.
So, this one, we got 2165. And we got an invoice on that page for 2165. And then it goes on through here. And then there's another invoice to this company with the staple with it, which is not even. Those are all together in that bundle.
This is for 2965 and then that, and then that was on the back. I didn't pay any attention.
Program sales was one of the bids.
Oh,
Yeah, these were bids that were, we had here, the bid sheet.
Oh, so he included all the bids
Yeah.
with it?
okay.
So it's not actually an invoice?
It's just,
Yeah.
okay. And so, okay, all right.
I just thought they were all invoices
Sure.
and the same.
Yeah, and those happen.
Yeah, whenever he wants to. I got one paper here.
All right. I think we'll go ahead and go to the next one on the agenda. SOS Crisis Service Director Mary Howland and Child Advocacy Center Director Jenny Sappin. You're up.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you for waiting.
Oh, not a problem. I'm Mary Halloran. I'm the Crisis Services Director from SOS.
And I'm Jenny Staples, the Child Advocacy Center Director at SOS.
As you may know, SOS is somewhat of a big umbrella agency. We have 4 units, 4 programs, if you will, under that umbrella. 3 of those programs serve Coffee County. So it's Crisis Services, Child Advocacy Center, and then the Child Visitation and Exchange Center. So we're not going to review stats, you have them in front of you, but I would like to stress that in my unit, the Crisis Services unit, we serve victims through advocacy, outreach services that can include like helping them maneuver through the court system, and then up and to including shelter as needed. For victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, stalking, and human trafficking. I have good news, and that is we now have a Coffee County advocate hired. All right. We've been without an advocate across the street in our building since like October. It's been a long haul, so we finally have a new advocate. His name is Theo Lavengeyer, and he will be out here full time probably within the next couple of months. He will be coming back and forth during his training time. He has been an advocate before, so he comes from another county in Kansas where he has been an advocate, so he's going to be a quick study, which will be wonderful.
You guys are right across the street.
Yes, we are. I pointed the wrong direction.
Why don't you put a location?
Yeah, we're right across the street. Right across the street.
So with the Child Advocacy Center, we are also located across the street there. And we do forensic interviews for children that have been sexually assaulted, physically abused, neglect, any kinds of abuse. So we kind of do 2 things. We do the forensic interviews, and then we also provide advocacy for those kids, for the families as well. So it's nice to have another advocate over there as well, so that can also help. But we work with Crosswinds, with law enforcement, with county attorney. So we do a lot of those things as well with our families and the kiddos that have gone through some of these
At times.
bad times. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah.
So So we're here to ask for your support once again. Our request is the same as it was last year. We appreciate any support that you can give us. We try to be present in the community. We want to be here to provide any kind of services to victims as necessary.
What was the request last year?
7,500, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah, for last year, yeah.
Did you guys have our?
We don't have any.
Oh,
We don't have any proposed
Hold on,
documents.
Oh, my
did you send
goodness.
it to us?
back on May 14th is what I have. I'm sorry, I didn't make copies. I assumed everybody
It's okay.
had it.
It's okay,
Well, I thought maybe I looked around.
hold on, I
and-
think I put it in there.
apologize.
Just a minute, I think I put it in their book.
I probably did. I probably did. It's somewhere in the border.
Well, it looks like you gentlemen have been signing a lot of paperwork this morning, so I can understand how paper goes one way and not the other.
They're here, I'm sure I have them in here. Oh, yeah, we do have it. That's okay, yeah, don't write on these, these are great books.
No notes. I apologize, I should have brought
No,
copies.
no, we have them,
Okay.
we have them. I put them in their book, and I didn't think about getting them out.
No worries.
Yeah, so, sorry about that. Don't write on them.
I would like to stress that SOS would love to be an integral part of Coffee County. Not only providing services, but being part of community events, giving information out to everybody, being part of, we have a very, very strong prevention education program within Crisis Services, so we can go out to the schools. We have been in Burlington Elementary, so liking to go out to the schools and try to do some prevention, some breaking the cycle before it starts, or breaking the cycle, period. So we would love to be an integral part of the community. I'm thrilled that we've got an advocate coming out here. Ginny's already established across the street, so what kind of questions can we answer for you, Jim?
You set up a booth at any of the county fairs or anything?
We have before. There's been, I can't remember what it was called, but some kind of community action thing that was information fair that was down the main street. And so we have had booths at those types of things, yes. Our advocate who was here last year, she had been here for several years, but who left last year, she worked very closely with ECAN, and so they partnered a lot on things. So they would have a booth together and have ECAN information and SOS information together. And we would love to do that again.
If I read this right, last year we requested $7,000.
Oh, we did?
And it's $7,500 this year.
Oh, interesting. Well, the letter I have in front of myself says we are again requesting $7,500, so my apologies. My apologies.
Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay, all right, yes, so the request this year is $7,500.
No, well, all I have is what we gave them this year. I imagine that's what was requested.
We are always open to questions, so if you do come up with any questions in time, please call. We're only a phone call away.
This is another one of those services that most people don't know about and have no idea it probably is existing in the background, and that's because the people who deal with this are the ones dealing with the trauma. And from my experience, this is a much needed resource that their request is probably less than what it should be.
Thank you, Wade, very much.
I can tell you just from the types of cases and the types of situations they deal with on the crisis side and on the child advocacy side, it takes people who are committed to dealing with those crisis situations, because you're dealing with trauma in its purest form, whether it be adults and or children, oftentimes both, and having the resources to help walk those people through the system and navigate, whether it be in or out of the criminal justice system, is vitally important. So,
It made a big impact on schools when I was in the schools at Reba. You guys gotta go home and have group hugs with your children.
I do on a regular basis,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, too. I mean,
Yeah.
You guys see some really bad stuff with children. So, my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You say you work with UCAN some as far as housing or shelter or
Basically just sharing resources, sharing clients. You know, there's many times that we may not be able to assist with something
So you'll-
financially,
you'll-
but we'll refer them to
you'll-
ECAN,
I see.
they might,
I
and
see.
vice versa.
Sure.
And vice versa. And I'm sure there's other community partners too, ECAN just comes to my mind.
Right.
on the crisis services
Mhm.
side of things, I mean, you're a frontline workers who deal with things out in the field when they come at you.
Yes.
It's not always that way, and I don't think a lot of people realize when somebody is in crisis, whether it be a domestic violence situation, they will actually come out and deal with those people in crisis, and obviously, that's not an 8 to 5 situation.
Yeah.
Definitely not. We have an advocate on call 24 hours a day. And so, yeah, any kind of call, I mean, obviously I have to think about safety of my staff, but we connect with law enforcement on a
Just
regular
say you
basis.
connect with law.
You bet, you bet. So yes, we would be more than happy to respond to, you know, the sheriff's department, say for instance, and go meet with a victim, you bet. Domestic violence and sexual assault don't happen during Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Then for the child advocacy side of things, you have to go through special training that is not only trauma informed, but child informed, so that there's not a situation that creates a problem from a presentation of evidence standpoint in a courtroom when you're dealing with kids, especially kids under 10, you know, asking age appropriate questions when dealing with that part of the process to make sure that you have a prosecution-worthy case for a child who's been sexually assaulted by whoever it is.
Yeah. Which we find a lot of kids are assaulted by people in their home. So, you know, that's what we see a lot. So then trying to navigate referrals for that child as well and trying to keep them away from that alleged perpetrator as well, so.
I'm going to make a motion to, I don't know how to do it. Help me out.
You want to go ahead and do the same in money?
Yeah,
Or you want to put that same budget request?
yeah, 7,500.
Okay, I mean, I don't think you really need to make a motion necessarily.
Okay.
Because when you do your
Do it.
budget.
Oh, okay, all right.
Wonderful. Like we said, any support is very, very appreciated.
So we can wait on,
Mhm.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
No, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
And thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Wise. We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah. I'll collect those budget books. They will be in later, I'm just.
I was gonna ask if you could make a copy of that for me.
Yep.
I did
Or
not write on
just
it.
to email it to you.
Oh, that'd be fine if you want to email.
Okay.
Great.
They will be in binders, which they're, I was just initially getting things kind of set up to go in the books.
Dr. White was originally at 11 o'clock, but flight schedules,
Messed him up.
the earliest he could be here coming directly from the airport was 11:30 based on the flight schedule, so that may be why there's a gap. cover some roundtable though.
We could. Wait, do you have anything?
Two things. One, I'm requesting that the board authorize a new cycle of job notice applications for the custodian position. And I can, I'll get that to the paper today, so it can go out. I think I think it's already been authorized, but previously it's open until filled. I just need to resubmit it to the paper for another run at it. And I do want to make sure everybody's aware, we've been short-staffed on the custodian side, and we've, in essence, had 2 custodians covering the lion's share of the building, and they've done an exceptional job. To me, it's kind of like looking at your house, and when you go to sell your house, you probably appreciate this better than anybody. The curb appeal to the house is especially important, especially to get people in. So when you come into this building and you don't see debris, trash, the building is well maintained, well kept on the inside and out, and probably the biggest indicator is when you go into the bathroom and it's clean, the cleanliness of the bathroom. So the staff that we have need to be commended. They go out of their way, above and beyond, and I want to give them some kudos for that, because it's especially important.
They take pride in, it's no doubt about it, they keep the building maintained pretty nice.
They're going to do.
Oh, I know what it is. Right.
To,
No.
oh, I'm sorry. We need a motion to authorize a new cycle of available job notice for the custodial position and to advertise until filled.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Moved by Avondroth, seconded by Marker. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
The next thing is just to maybe reinforce this brought up last week. It really came to light at the end of the week when I was contacted for a comment relating to minutes and the CHIPS application denial. Just bare bones minutes with the topic is my suggestion. And there's a reason going back in time with some prior litigation that was the county was involved in where those minutes ended up being involved in the litigation as well. So all that's legally required really is the bare bones basics regarding opening the meeting, when the meeting starts, and the minutes intent and purpose is to memorialize executive sessions. Outside of that, it's the board's prerogative on what detail they want to provide. And I know in the past they've been very detailed to the point where you look at some minutes from some jurisdictions and they're a play-by-play of what happens in other instances where this topic was covered. And so I know recently there was a request to expand and have detailed minutes, and I think that's okay, but I would encourage you to reconsider whether they need to be full on a paragraph of detail. So for instance, if somebody's coming in to talk about a particular topic, it would say whatever the subject matter is, county council or wait till we discuss the jail project. And the benefit is, here, everything's recorded. If somebody wants to come back and watch and see what people said, they can come back and watch and see what people said.
That's what I think the intent was when that was brought up, just that, not in great detail, but just have it in writing about what was discussed.
Yeah, so if there was a discussion, at least reflect there was a discussion.
Yes.
Not necessarily all the details of the discussion.
I guess my opinion is if people are that interested, they could go to YouTube and see exactly what was said. I know that's,
But at least if it's in the minutes and you know what was discussed,
Yeah.
then you can go to YouTube
Yeah.
and get all the details. But before, we weren't even having, if there wasn't any action taken, the discussion was not included in the minutes. And that's what we were wanting to do, is at least get the discussion in the minutes, that there was a discussion, not necessarily details of the discussion.
on a specific topic, is what you're saying.
It's basically a bullet point. This topic was on the agenda, this person discussed it, and from there, if somebody wants to see what that discussion entailed, they can go to roll the tape.
Yep.
Roll the tape.
Cleaning footage.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is,
What exactly were these?
the ones for the 24 tax year. Is that just finishing up?
Did they budget request for that year? Yeah, we approved the budgets last year, and then these are the disbursements.
These are the disbursements.
Yeah, those are just.
Okay.
It was,
This is the remaining budget request for your departments there. Are those disbursements twice a year, is that correct?
The one who's it for?
Just any of them in general?
Huh?
Just any of them in general, is whole folder for
Oh, yeah. It's done quarterly.
Quarterly? Quarterly. Okay.
anything else, William?
I was contacted in reference to maintenance of the pool at the Bailey property. If you remember, last year, the board entered into an agreement with, I believe, the pool place out of Emporia to maintain the pool, both the chemicals, and then shut it down at the end of the season. Well, now it's at the beginning of the season, and the request is the pool going to be open, and is that agreement with that entity going to be re-upped? So you have, I don't know how many of you have had a pool. I've had a pool. I won't ever have a pool again. But if you don't maintain the pool, then you end up with potential problems for things go wrong. Things can go wrong even if you're maintaining the pool, but they really can go wrong if you don't maintain it. So the question would be, what do you want to do so I can reach out and address that?
Yeah, last week. But
So I wasn't aware of that.
And what was,
well, the Pool and Spa out of Emporia had called to ask if they were gonna continue with servicing the pool as they did last year after we took it over, because the things they do different than a lot of other places that I also checked with, where they do weekly testing, and you guys wanted the pool checked weekly. And I'd also talked with the renter, and there was some discussion on that. But anyways, I think you guys want to continue with the weekly testing and opening and closing. And they were going to send a contract over. I haven't seen anything yet as I was out of town, but I still talked with them while I was out of town. But when that contract comes through, I'll give it to Wade. He can handle that.
So I wasn't aware of it, that brought to my attention.
And I was gone, so.
I should have just had him talk to you, I guess, but,
No, as long as it's being addressed.
yeah.
I've been told to come, you know.
You lied.
I thought we did. I remember talking about it, but I don't think we took the action or anything. Because there was a discrepancy, they didn't like who was doing it. So I think that's who we got doing it, we need to stick with it.
Well, they take care of the pool like, I mean, they open it, they close it, they I mean, get it ready for winter. And I'm not saying that, I mean, sometime down the road, of course, it'll change, but until as long as it's in our hands.
Did you look on the minutes and see, find the discussion?
Oh, there won't be any discussion.
So do we need to?
I think right now, just wait for the contract, and once the
Okay.
contract comes through, then there'll be a formal placeholder in the minutes.
Anything else, sir?
Those were my topics for today.
Mr. Becker?
I've been invited to the Lebo City Council meeting tonight. They've got a situation with their city lake that they're having to do a dam repair on. It's been demanded by the Kansas Highway Department. Fear the dam break causing problems. It's been suggested to me about having it donated to the county. Speaking for myself, we don't want to be in the land, but we would try to help them in any way. And I want to have them come to the next commissioners meeting to make requests. And I hope to find out what the cost of the
Sure.
repairs are tonight.
I wonder on something like that, would there be grants available?
There should be,
I mean, would that be something that Jenny could,
I told them that we had somebody that could help them with writing grants, but I'll express this to all the councilmen tonight on that. And then, you know, there's millions of dollars worth of homes around that lake, and then their valuation, if they drain it, and it's just a mud field out there, it goes in, and there's gonna have quite a turnout tonight for it. I think there may be findings if we loan the money, or what was it?
The infrastructure money.
Infrastructure money, you know, to help with it, but, you know. And I've also pointed out to them that it flies under the radar for great fishing lakes in Kansas. It's one of the hidden jewels. It's very well stocked, it has a lot of fishermen down on it. I told them that they need to talk with Wildlife and Parks and see if they could send them in another direction. Along with that, several months ago, the governor spoke about maybe we're going to be in a water crisis in years to come. We wouldn't want to give up a body of water like that, because that at one time supplied the water for Lebo. I mean, it could be something that could be leaned back on if there is a water crisis or something coming on there. Just something that is, I hate to give it up, but I don't think personally that we want to take on another lake and patrol it, take care of it.
no, that's gotta be up to the, in my opinion, that has to be the city side of it. And then if the county can help as far as grants, I mean, directing them toward grants.
If it's a small repair with their engineer and everything, we may have the equipment to step in to help them with something like that, if it's minor, or road and bridges. I don't know what all they need.
Sure.
If I'm gonna go or not.
But you'll have a better idea after tonight.
After tonight,
Right.
yeah. But I just kind of want you guys a blessing to talk to them a little bit about things that we can help, or try to help them with.
It sounds like they reached out to you, so you need to respond somewhere, so.
I was planning on that.
You lose your lake there, you're gonna devaluate a lot of homes up there.
There's some very, very pushing $1 million homes.
So they're on world water. I mean, at one time that lake did supply the water to
Lebo.
Lebo, right?
Yes, the structure's still there, but I think they got a defense and everything there, but it was that. Then they drained it at one time, they came back in and built fishing piers on it and stuff. And it gets a lot of lake traffic. And we did take over helping with maintaining the road around it, and they were getting donations on the gravel, and Ryan's department was
Right.
taking care of that. But we don't want to take on
But
the
that was,
liability of that lake.
yeah, but that was a pretty easy fix as
Yeah,
far as
it
road and
was.
bridge because they were
there.
in there. Good.
You know, having houses built around a golf course,
Yeah.
golf course with stairs.
Mark, have you got anything?
No, I'm just planning to attend the Leroy City Council meeting tonight.
I don't really have anything to do this moment. Yes, I don't either. I may go to the hospital board meeting tonight. I'll probably go ahead.
And speaking of hospital, I think we discussed it earlier, but the budget for the hospital needs to be approved next week.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right.
Fourth and
Something to keep in mind.
Sandy, do you have anything?
Well, I handed out state assessed for you. And as you can see, it went up, from 2024, roughly 36 million.
That was good.
We're getting budgets in. Hopefully we'll have books ready for you in the next couple weeks so that you can start reviewing those. That's all I have.
All right.
Quiet.
I hear you caught some fish.
We did. Yes, we did. Fished 8 out of 10 days, so
Hey, that's,
it was quite a fishing expedition. Did you say you were attending the Waverly City Council or the hospital?
hospital.
Your hospital, who were you going? You're going to Burlington?
Hospital board meeting tonight.
Hospital, you're going there?
After the meeting, I'll probably go to Bear's next week.
And I go to almost all the Burlington City Council meetings anyway.
As a newspaper guy. Or,
Yeah. Well, I can do both.
No, I can
wear
He surprises them.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know, do you want that in the minutes? I guess I need to go to figure out minutes. What do you want in, do you want that in there or not?
No,
No? Not that you're attending the meeting?
no.
Todd, do you want your going to Lebo City regarding the lake?
No, they'll see me there. I'll be in there.
I guess I'll have to just kind of ask you guys every now and then, just so I can kind of get a feel for what you want, because I don't know. I mean, when you say you want to be transparent, I try to be transparent, but.
Yeah, but I think as long as there's bullet points there that they can go back and refer to, I think that's,
Yeah,
So
you'll just have to bear with
At
me.
least have it in there,
Yeah,
whereas if it wasn't in there before, okay.
I'm just gonna ask you, because I don't know.
yeah.
What I think should be may not be what you think should be, so. so. Do you want the pool in there?
Yeah.
There ought to be something with the pool, probably.
Of course, we're gonna have a discussion on it once we get the contract.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't put anything in as far as the
Don't
pool.
put anything in the pool?
Because we're going, once we get the contract back, we're gonna review it then and talk about it.
Okay, do you want anything about the minutes and maybe the fair bill?
I'm sorry, say that.
Do you want anything in there about the minutes? I have it on Canva, so I need to know if you want anything in there about that. If anyone ever comes back and say, when did they decide to not be detailed on the minutes? Do you want that in there or not, or?
Maybe if they discussed it, no, I think it should be in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, either. See, I'm at a loss.
It's probably not gonna be the last time we discuss it, so.
If you guys wanna look through there and tell me what you do and don't want, that would help me a lot. Because
How is it? Like before, you just put,
just motions in executive session. Now, before that, in years past, we did add little, like, summary paragraph is all.
Yeah.
It wasn't detailed like another agency that you guys get to see sometimes, it wasn't that detailed. So I'm just kind of at a loss on exactly how you want to do this. I don't know what you want to put, and I don't know what you don't want to put. Makes it hard for me, just so you know.
I was good with the way it was before, but just because I thought that you could go back to YouTube and see exactly what was said and what wasn't said. We're live, but that's my opinion.
No, I was good with it too, maybe just a little bit of tweaking, so.
Okay, so.
And the only way
I
to
can
do
go-
that is, once you get them done, just kind of look at them and see what we think of them then.
So could we just take time at the end of the meeting and look through what I put, tell me what to take out? Because I really don't know what you want and what you don't. Can we do that? Take
We can try.
5-10 minutes and go
Sure.
through them before,
Review.
because I really just don't know. And
I would put in discussion point of just read the fact. I don't know how you do that.
wait, I was asking if we could maybe take 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting, and anything I put in there that they could tell me to take out or add, because it's hard for me to know, like, they said to take out the pool. Well, the pool discussion today, so I took it out. So I don't know really what they're gonna want in or what they're not gonna want in, so I kinda need some help with that.
Okay.
Because in years past, clear up until 2019, 2020, we did a little summary of just what the discussion was,
At the bottom.
No, for each
Oh,
topic.
I see.
And it wasn't real long. I mean, if you look at some agencies, they do very detailed. You call them seconds, some of you have called them seconds or thirds. But now,
So how did that work for us?
we did that from beginning of time till 2019, 2020. And when citizens come in to like ask a question on, can you find out when this happened in the minutes, we could go back to a particular book and find that little discussion. And
So on each point then, at the end of that, there was just a summary, is that right?
like just a couple sentences, like I did the past few weeks that you guys asked me to put a little more in it. But now, if someone comes in and asks, when did we do whatever, I won't have that to tell them what minutes to go to look. Or read, or watch YouTube, or, so I guess, I mean, it just makes it hard for me, I don't know. Maybe I just don't know how to take minutes after 25 years.
The detailed minutes, my recollection is they were pre-YouTube, and having those minutes, because that's all you had at that point. Now you have YouTube, and for people to go back and watch, I mean, it's your call on how you want those minutes to be. I think having a bullet point, so as Angie's indicated, somebody can see that a topic was discussed, and if they want to find it in the YouTube meeting, they can. At least be able to search, and if it's midway through the minutes, then they'll have an idea that it's likely midway through the YouTube meeting. But having too much detail can create another issue that I'm not going to go into right now. I know from that timeline when that change was made, there was a reason why that change was made, and unfortunately, none of the existing board members were on the board at that point. But there was
If the minutes match up with YouTube, there shouldn't be a problem, though, should there?
No.
Oh, did they not match up with YouTube?
Well, you're just saying, at the time, though, there was no YouTube.
There wasn't.
Right.
But I mean, did we mistype something that didn't match up with YouTube this last?
We could have a conversation later.
All I'm saying is, if we could just take 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting, and you guys can tell me, take this out, add this, whatever, just so, because I don't know what you want in the minutes, I guess. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, sounds fine.
Okay. We've already knocked out a couple things, so.
Okay. We're down to
I'm waiting for Dr. Carl Wyatt.
okay.
He's not related to that discussion.
So Dr. Wyatt's here.
Okay. Carl, do you have anything? Carl, do you have anything, or you just?
No, I'm just waiting for Dr. White and Garrett.
So anytime he's ready, why?
Okay.
I mean, if he's, unless you think we need to wait until, give another 30 thing, but if he's.
It was intentionally set at 11:30 because his transit time from the airport to here, we wanted to make sure that it wasn't scheduled too soon. So if he's here, originally, I was gonna have it scheduled at 11. So if you're okay moving forward, then I'm okay moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Dr. White, how are you?
Well, thanks, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Next on the agenda, Dr. Carl Wyatt, post-chip decision update and request for executive session. Dr. Wyatt?
Well, since the last time that I was here before this group was in December of last year, and at the time as we were looking at the wind down of the Biden administration and the ramp up of the current administration, we identified a path forward in an attempt to make good on what this body had done with its investment for bringing semiconductor manufacturing to not just Coffee County, but to Kansas. And so I'm going to give you an update on what's happened since our last visit, and make some comments publicly for exactly what that status is. So the TEM is the EMP Shield CHIPS application. Trusted Electronics Manufacturing is what the TEM stands for. And what we're going to do is just sort of give you an overview of the decision that was made by the Department of Commerce. You'll go to the next slide. Before I do that, however, a robust thanks to Coffee County is due. Greg Varnberg, with Raymond James, had actually invited me and others to participate in the process, primarily as customers or buyers of the gallium nitride that was to be manufactured here in Coffee County. We have interest in telecommunications. There are substantial 5G and 6th generation telecom opportunities that would have thrived with a 100% US-owned gallium nitride source of devices, chips for advanced wireless applications. And our view was that we saw a path to purchasing upwards of over $200 million worth of product from this factory on an annual basis. The hope was that we would not have to rely on the existing technology leaders, primarily in Taiwan and China, who are global leaders in manufacturing gallium nitride. Gallium nitride is a semiconductor material, so-called compound semiconductor. It's different than silicon in that it has some properties that allow for much higher speed, much higher performance in terms of speed. It can accommodate much higher power. And most importantly, it has dual applications in both military and commercial spaces. Gallium nitride is being retrofitted, as we had described a few months ago, in just about all of our warfighting applications that use advanced electronics. All the stealth jets, from the F-35, F-22, and the F-teens, are using gallium nitride in their radar applications. There are ground-based and sea-based and satellite-based radar applications for gallium nitride that extend the ranges, for example, for these radar systems by a factor of 2. And they're able to actually track enemy launches from the time the enemy launch occurs until the time that it actually hits its target. And that's used for countermeasures that can destroy that ordnance in advance. Greg Varnberg invited us to participate in the process, and he had been the one who had led the finance plan for the initiative. I want to say something about semiconductors in general. You've probably all heard in the last month and a half or so the announcement that was made about TSMC. TSMC is the global leader in silicon semiconductor manufacturing in the world, bar none. One of the reasons that we have a strategic interest in Taiwan is that if China were to attack Taiwan, we would not be able to manufacture cell phones. A lot of our telecommunications network equipment would go by the by, computers, IT, AI, all that would be jeopardized. And so there was an interest in moving some of that manufacturing capacity to the United States. That was a bipartisan objective for the CHIPS Act, and that's one of the reasons why you find foreign companies like Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Corporation being invited to actually build manufacturing capacity in the United States. The company that had been the global leader a few decades ago was Intel. Intel, you may remember some of the Intel Inside commercials, did much to launch the United States into a position of leadership for semiconductor manufacturing, but that leadership was lost. And as a result, the United States was manufacturing about 10% of all of the semiconductors that were made in the world, whereas Taiwan was generating well over 30 to 40%. And they did that in the span of about 35 years, from zero to global leadership. The attempt for this project was to establish that same kind of leadership here for gallium nitride in Coffee County. The comment that's made there at the top is that over half of all of the investment that would have been required for this initiative would have come from state, local, and private investors. Private money was going to be raised from the large investors that have the ability to put hundreds of millions of dollars of investment into a project like this. In addition, there's to be a bond offering that would provide additional financing to supplement what would come from the state and local sources. All that was led by Greg Varnberg. It was intended to be the largest ever economic development in the history of the state of Kansas. That was the intent. There are people in this room, Garrett Nordstrom, Wade Hoey, who actually helped spearhead the coordination among educational institutions from K through 12 all the way up to the fine universities here in Kansas, and counties, surrounding counties had also lent their support, and that support, as a result of those activities, represents 23% of the population of Kansas, so it's over 600,000 people, all of whom, not just Coffee County, but surrounding counties, were anxious to see this initiative take root, especially because it would take root out of rural America. The breadbasket of America, where so much of our talent resides, but has not been properly afforded an opportunity to lead the way that we have invested in leadership in Taiwan. So what was the Kansas motivation for taking this risk? Essentially, Coffee County was looking to invest an amount of money that would have been reflected by a return 1,000 times the investment, in terms of the investment. So the initial investment objective for this plan was about $5 billion. Just under half of that would have come from the federal government in the form of grant and loans and loan guarantees. The other 50+% would have come, as I mentioned, from the private sector and also from the state and local investors. The fact is that in terms of semiconductor manufacturing, and this is something that we detailed when we talked in December. I'd urge you to go back and take a look at that presentation. There's a little video, about 5 minutes, that actually gives a very good picture or video of what the factory would have looked like, what the plan was for Coffee County. But if you look at the amount of semiconductors that are made worldwide, for every $6,300 of semiconductor revenues generated in the world, for every $6,300, Kansas generates $1 today. By 2030 to 2032, when the world is generating $20,000, Kansas will still be at that $1 ratio. Now, when you look at semiconductor manufacturing, yes, there are jobs created from the manufacturing of semiconductor devices, but there are also jobs for those who learn how to do device design, circuit design, process modeling, software development, etc. And semiconductor technology has been one of the accelerants to economic growth that spans a very broad category of opportunity. So the goal was to essentially put Kansas in the game more as a leader than a non-participant when it comes to semiconductor manufacturing. That was the reason for the risk taken. The belief is, and my belief still is Kansas voters deserve and need an opportunity to get in the game. We're all familiar with the fact that you can have a group of people that are hardworking, that are backbone of the country, but sometimes the hardworking folks need to get recognized for taking leadership risk and given an opportunity to participate in global manufacturing initiatives that otherwise will pass those folks by. And that was the reason for the initiative, and that's why, in my judgment, it's still necessary that there be an effective national political breakthrough that refocuses its attention on Coffee County and places like Coffee County and re-examines the opportunity. I want to say something else about that initiative. Coffee County had established relationships with global players, so you don't just wake up one day and decide you want to build a semiconductor factory. But there were a number of key companies that participated. I mentioned Raymond James, but other companies include a company called Excite, E-X-Y-T-E. Excite is today the world's #1 developer of semiconductor plants. They build plants better than anybody else on the planet, and they were a partner in this initiative. You had another company called AISL. They make what are known as lithography equipment. They're #1 in the world. They're out of Sweden, but turns out that AISL was also a partner. There were others. And these global partners had all decided that in order for the United States to have a 100% American-owned gallium nitride facility, that this was the partnership to join. And they did. They participated. If you go to the next slide, and this is the last slide. So as has been, as you're all aware, the Kansas application, after actually over 2 years, because the initial application that had been submitted was a preliminary application that was submitted in, I believe, March of 2023. As a result of that application, Coffee County or EMP Shield was encouraged to submit a full application, which was done. There was a analysis and a merit review that was conducted in January, on January 10th of this year. The merit review is what the Department of Commerce uses to determine whether or not an application that has already satisfied all the requirements to being full and complete, is that application an application that deserves to be advanced to the next step. And the next step would have been a decision to award a preliminary memorandum of terms. It's like a term sheet. So if you've heard about folks that go to Silicon Valley to try to raise money for their new startups, they would get a term sheet. The term sheet doesn't guarantee that you're going to actually get the money. It says that the investors think enough of what it is that you're doing that they're prepared to have detailed conversations. And that preliminary memorandum of terms would have been the federal term sheet to this initiative, and that's how the announcement would have gone out worldwide that Coffee County was in play. That did not happen, and it didn't happen for the 3 reasons indicated there. The first is the contribution to the U.S. economic and national security. Their belief was that this project did not meet that requirement. I'm going to come back and talk about that. The second was commercial viability and technical feasibility. Do you have customers? Do you have the people necessary that actually can pull this off? And then finally, was there adequate financial support for wafer scale manufacturing? And so those were the 3 reasons that were cited by the Department of Commerce for why the project did not go forward. So let's go back and take a look at some history. For that first line, contribution to U.S. economic and national security, the feeling was that there were no proven customers that could buy semiconductors that would be produced in Coffee County. So if you think about the announcement that the President made with regard to TSMC, TSMC said, yep, we're going to increase our investment from $65 billion, because we're already making money, to $165 billion. And the President was happy to make that announcement. But the other side of that announcement coin was that some of our biggest and most profitable companies had promised to buy semiconductors from TSMC. that would be made here. Apple, NVIDIA, AMD, even Intel, all promised in advance that they were going to buy the TSMC chips made in Arizona before the factories were fully complete. So they had customers lined up. And that's typically what you like to see if you're going to make that kind of an investment. Now, you say, well, gee whiz, we don't have $165 billion. That's true. But those customers are going to bring to TSMC over the course of the next 10 years about $2 trillion in revenue. So that's a good investment. And their view was we didn't have sufficient evidence there would be people who would be willing to buy gallium nitride from Kansas. The other problem, and this is again to that first bullet, was that they didn't see that there was a demand by the U.S. military for the gallium nitride that would be produced by Kansas. Now, let me just talk about those two bullets. The thing that distinguishes, even now, the TEM gallium nitride initiative was that if you look at all the other CHIPS winners and you ask who pays the taxpayer back and how does that happen? Well, the way the taxpayer gets paid back is that you'll have a company like TSMC, they hire people to build the fab and operate the fab. Those folks pay taxes. And so if they pay taxes along the course of the manufacturing initiative, those taxes go back to the federal government, and that's how the money is paid back. So it's indirect. You get a job, you pay your taxes, those taxes pay back the money that was borrowed from taxpayers to finance the CHIPS initiative. The EMP Shield approach was completely different. The goal was that based on technology that existed, there are today in the federal government, today the federal government spends about $100 billion a year on information technology in the different departments. Defense, transportation, agriculture, all of the departments. That $100 billion a year, of that, 80% of it is used to maintain equipment that has already reached end of life. It's already old. And so what that means is the American taxpayer today is spending money to maintain an IT infrastructure. This is a matter of public record. It's not something that we're making up. You can go and check and verify that this is the case. It's been known for many years that 80% of each one of those taxpayer dollars is essentially being wasted to maintain IT infrastructures that have already reached end of life. Well, there's a similar problem when it comes to energy. If you look at the federal government, it is the largest single consumer based on the properties that the federal government owns and operates of energy than any other owner or operator of real estate. Federal government is number one. So that means that we as taxpayers are paying for the use of all this energy. Well, there again, you have a broad problem where the equipment that's used, air conditioning, boilers, all the plumbing that's used for water distribution, etc., that equipment is primarily old and in disrepair. Today, the federal government, just for the buildings that we own and operate, there is a bill in excess of $80 billion for deferred maintenance and repair. So if you've ever had a water heater that goes south or an air conditioner that's not working, you either have the budget to make the repairs or you don't. We don't. And as a result, we're running buildings today with equipment that needs repair. So there was a solution. In 2007, as a part of the Defense Authorization Act, the federal government said, we're going to create a plan where we're going to get $80 billion worth of investment from the private sector if they will put that money into refurbishing our antiquated critical infrastructures in our buildings. So the goal was that private energy services companies would partner with federal agencies, do tours of their buildings, find all of the equipment that needs to be replaced, and then bring private money into the federal government to replace that equipment. What's the catch? Well, the catch is that you want to make that investment in this new equipment because it's more efficient. If it's more efficient, the operating costs go down, and that efficiency is how the investors get paid back. They collect some of those savings for a limited period of time, as little as 10 and up to 25 years, and after they have been paid back, that infrastructure is 100% owned by the taxpayer. So $80 billion was made available. That was not money that the taxpayers spent. It was money that was coming from the private sector to guarantee savings in our federal buildings. This was done in 2007. Since 2007, of the $80 billion opportunity that the federal government made available to private investors, $65 billion of that opportunity is still on the table. $65 billion. And so we've came up with a way to actually put that money to work. If that money is invested using technologies that we had hoped to use, leveraging semiconductors from the Kansas Gallium Nitride Initiative, we found that we could kill two birds with one stone. We could upgrade the energy infrastructure, and we could fully replace and modernize their IT infrastructure, IT and telecom. And when you do that, the savings multiply. By how much? Well, we did an analysis for one building at it's the HUD headquarters, now up for sale. And what we found was that they were doing a project like this, an energy savings performance contract project, that would save them just under $4 million a year. We found that if we were to come in and fully upgrade their infrastructure, energy and IT, the savings would go to $73 million a year, and that was documented. That was documented in a report. The report ultimately was approved by the first Trump administration, but it was allowed to just sit on the table during the Biden administration. The opportunity still exists. We could do this not just for one building, but for any number of federal buildings, upgrading their infrastructures both on the energy and IT side, using, in the future, gallium nitride from this facility. That opportunity is still on the table, and I continue to press that opportunity. What about inadequate evidence of value to the military? Since our meeting in December, a partnership has been established with one of the #1 suppliers of warfighter gallium nitride technology to DoD. They expressed keen interest in participating in this process. The goal was to license gallium nitride technology they already have and use that technology which they have and which is proven to essentially help build up a gallium nitride manufacturing capacity in Kansas. They were very interested in doing that. That would have solved the problem of an absence of military value because they're already delivering gallium nitride for military applications. They're doing it, and they have been doing it for years. It's one of the only companies in the U.S. that's been doing gallium nitride since the about 2013, 2014. So their technology is mature, it's world-class, and it's 100% sourced, developed, owned in the United States. The second major bullet, commercial viability. I talked about this business of being able to upgrade energy and IT infrastructure in federal buildings. That is still a compelling opportunity. And the thing is that the money that's saved goes directly to taxpayer savings. It's not indirect. So it's savings that doesn't come about as a result of people getting jobs and then paying taxes. It's direct savings where you're spending a certain amount of money to operate an infrastructure that is old and antiquated. You reduce that cost with a modernization of that infrastructure. You pay those savings to the company that puts that infrastructure in place for a limited period of time, and all those savings then belong in the future to the American taxpayer. If that were done with the $65 billion of private money that's still available today, our estimate is that that would save the taxpayer, in terms of its value today, $250 billion. And we think that that's an argument that we can support with data based on analyses that we've done for at least 2 federal agencies today. So in terms of uncertain financial support, that's the last bullet. Greg Barnberg made it clear, as we were preparing for the merit review, that you can't put the cart before the horse. You're not going to get people to invest hundreds of millions in a semiconductor manufacturing facility absent an indication from the federal government, at least through a preliminary memorandum of terms, which is not a commitment to spend. So the PMT does not obligate the federal government to spend money. What it says is, we've looked at your application, and we think that it's important enough to the United States that we'd like to look at it more carefully. That's all that was necessary. And that would have opened the floodgates with investors who were looking for something to invest in. With the partners that we have, with the partners that we've cultivated over the course of just the last few months, we feel very strongly that we could have made a very compelling case to the Department of Commerce. So that's my summary. The question is, okay, Carl, what do you do next? Since we've joined this effort, we've done this at our expense, at my expense, actually. All the travel, all the expenditures that have been made to pursue this is something that I've paid for because I think it's something that needs to be done. Now, there are others who've made investments. ENP Shield, Coffee County, obviously, and there are many others. But for me, the goal was to make good on the need to stop talking about investing in rural America and actually get it done. That's something that many of our other states have done very well. Texas, California, New York, Iowa. Many have done an exceptional job at creating semiconductor manufacturing capability. It has never been done in Kansas. And our view was and is that that needs to change, and we still think that that's possible. So that's my summary. Any questions or comments?
Talk about what's next.
The thing that got both Taiwan and China on the map and in leadership position concerning semiconductor manufacturing was the activity of the president and premier. They took a personal risk to invest in leadership, knowing that they were decades behind. And the same thing is required here. What we found is that there are some states that get and sustain the attention of the White House, and some that don't. And if that does not happen, you end up having decisions made by people who mean well, but they're at a level where their personal risk is uncomfortable. And if they don't have air cover, they just aren't going to do it. They don't necessarily see the suffering on the ground. And whatever they do see, the irony is that a lot of well-meaning people are penalized more heavily for taking risks that don't pan out than letting opportunities go by, but nobody sees it. Well, which is the greater risk? If you ask me, if you go from $6,300 to 1, from there to 20,000 to 1, that's a massive risk. But it's the kind of risk that if it's not recognized, in my view, at the White House, it's like, so what? So what's next is to see if we can't do a better job of getting to the kind of decision makers that can reach out and shake hands with local officials and reward voters for their support. That support has been steadfast, it's been unwavering, and it has produced results. It's time for the voters to see a reciprocation of that, and we're going to take a shot at taking it to higher levels if we can find partners that we can work with.
Thank you.
Gary, were you gonna?
If you like. Dr. White, what levels are you talking about going to, and have you got a framework of how you want to do that? I mean, what you said was great. I'm a firm believer in what you've got going on there, but I also know how the bureaucracy of our United States government works as slow as they are.
Well, I understand that it's at least one gentleman who is bureaucracy averse. And he's shown that he has a willingness to cut through red tape. The argument that I think needs to be heard at the highest levels of government is you can't complain about Coffee County not already being wealthy enough, like TSMC, to give you, $100 billion. Heck, you're giving them back $2 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, when I said that these energy savings performance contracts, this is an age when people are really talking about generating savings. And a lot of the savings initiatives that have been attempted in the last few months have had mixed results. And in some cases, there have been some babies thrown out the back door. When it comes to these energy savings performance contracts, it's something that everybody across the board recognizes needs to get done. And all the money would come from the private sector, every penny. So the taxpayer doesn't spend any extra money to upgrade these infrastructures. And if Coffee County is recognized as being the source of harvesting $65 billion, well, that makes you a better player than every other chips manufacturer. But that message has got to be heard by somebody who can hear it, kick the tires, and react. And I think that's still possible. But it's sort of like David didn't aim his slingshot at the other soldiers behind Goliath. He had to go to Goliath. And we've got to do the same. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I'm not too sure I can be quite as elegant as Dr. Wyatt was, but Attorney Bowie asked me to give a bit of a statement about what we have done, and I'm going to read some prepared notes that I had. Just so, the Coffee County Commissioners here in this room are obviously pioneers and have taken a pioneering role in America. It's what we believe is America's new industrial future. And I wanted to take a moment to sort of recognize that leadership that was put forth in this room and the investment that was made in CHIPS Act initiative. The leadership that the commissioners showed positioned the county in that new American industrial landscape, and we are well positioned to take advantage of that and move in the future. As Dr. White said, we're down, but we're not out. There's still positive potential for the project. It's true that a large investment that was made by the county in the large federal project where TEM was awarded, it was ultimately not funded, of course, but the initiative has delivered remarkable success in the founding of Secure Semiconductor Manufacturing, which is one of the only first Nano Electronics, the company, to launch in the United States in the last 50 years. So that alone is a tremendous award. In 2 short years, the project has evolved into basically a contender capable of competing with some of the companies like Dr. Wyatt mentioned, TSMC and Intel and Micron and Wolfspeed on the national and international market. In doing so, it has focused on building a sort of a secure and resilient supply chain of gallium nitride semiconductors and a wafer capability in the United States. And not many of those are here in our country right now. And so we do have that so far. The efforts by the commissioners have made possible what many, when we began this project, thought was impossible, and that was sponsoring sort of that massive public-private partnership, to launch an advanced technical startup in the United States, and certainly one that could not be done in the rural United States. So right here, the commissioners here are pioneers in this sort of new industrial American landscape. What we have done and what we do have now is that we've helping to revive U.S. leadership in the nanoelectronics space, right? By helping SSM, Secure Semiconductor Manufacturing, launch, we have contributed to reestablishing a U.S. presence in this sort of critical technology. And that company is about to start, or it is producing, but we'll have a new facility here. We've set up a model for a national rural model, basically so that rural counties are positioned to launch competitive tech manufacturing companies in a public-private framework that was unheard of before we began this 2 years ago. And Coffee County is obviously a national leader in that right here. We are positioned for the strategic breakthroughs. As Dr. Wyatt said quite eloquently, if we are still going to push forward with the communication it takes at the top leadership of our country to deliver this message that if they will take advantage of these ESPCs, or those energy-saving performance contracts, that we can deliver to save the United States taxpayers billions of dollars from a rural jurisdiction like Coffee County. And finally, I wanted to just say that the commissioners in this room have basically demonstrated sort of a visionary, strong, fiscally conservative leadership forum by saying that we can invest in manufacturing global tech startups by putting our money here in a rural jurisdiction. Before, again, was unprecedented. The commissioners here did something that most rural jurisdictions have never dared even try, and we have had some limited success, but success nonetheless. And that sort of concludes what I had prepared there. Are any questions for me or Governmental Assistance Services? Thank you all.
Thank you.
I think I said Sweden was the source of the ASL. It should be the Netherlands. They're the global leader in lithographic equipment.
And you would like an executive session, is that correct?
Brief, just yes.
10 minutes, 15?
That'd be fine. So this would be under the trade secrets, financial affairs of the corporation. I've, in advance, Dr. Wyatt indicated he would be requesting an executive session. So as the board is aware, anytime you go in under that particular provision, there have to be particular reasoning, and I think Dr. Wyatt is prepared to give those reasonings why it fits into those exceptions, and I gave them those, basically what the law requires them to think. So, yes. So I mentioned that since 2007, our company, or companies with which I've been affiliated, have essentially done energy savings performance contract analyses for major federal agencies. And in every case, there are 3 of these studies that have been done. They're all paid for privately, so the companies that I worked for actually paid for them. And in those studies, they were able to prove 2 things. I talked about in the one case, increasing the savings from just over $3 million a year to $73 million a year. That represents a real breakthrough for our company and would provide the basis for our being able to purchase gallium nitride from a Kansas facility. And so what I wanted to do is to share a bit more detail on that, and also talk to you about there was a unnamed company that has very deep ties to the DoD with regard to their gallium nitride use. A non-disclosure agreement with that company, ironically, was prepared for signature the week prior to this announcement that was made. I wanted to disclose who that company is because they would represent a real partner that would be critical to our ability to do 2 things. Justify the gallium nitride facility in Kansas, but to also provide a backbone for next generation solutions for an in-building wireless network solution initiative that has been estimated to be worth about $130 billion a year by 2030. That's going to be the basis, or would have been the basis, for our being able to buy the semiconductors that we were hoping to buy. We still believe that that is the case if we can solve these political problems and get attention at the right levels. And so I wanted to share a little bit of that with you in the private session.
So Dr. Wyatt, just maybe to go through the information if I understand right, this is confidential commercial information, and communicated when you had talked with me the other day. Your current company that Syneos, that you founded as a part of this initiative, is directly tied to this confidential commercial information.
Yes, that's correct.
And then the second part of that, what the commission has to weigh, and you're aware of this, I'm just going to say, the financial or competitive harm to the party seeking to prevent disclosure. So that would be issue number 1. Whether the disclosure will aid the commission in its duties, and then whether disclosure serves or might harm the public interest, and whether alternatives exist to full disclosure. So can you hit those points?
Yes. In terms of the confidentiality, I mentioned the ESPCs and the fact that of the $80 billion of opportunity that the federal government made public, only about $15 billion of that has been put to work. The other $65 billion is still sitting on the table. We have come up with an approach that solves that problem. It's an approach that our competitors are not aware of, nor do they have the technology necessary to implement a solution. It's a solution that we have shared with some of our strategic partners under non-disclosure, and they also agree that this approach would help not only in federal applications, but in every state of the union, because every state has its own version of the ESPC legislation. They are not energy savings performance contract laws, but they are energy performance contracts, identically patterned after the federal model. And so the federal adoption of this initiative, using the novel approaches that we have knowledge of, would allow for our company to essentially take the leadership position at the same time that companies like Huawei are trying to do the same thing. Huawei and Ericsson are also looking at in-building wireless technology initiatives, and they have the potential of changing the landscape of telecommunications, and we want to keep that closely held. In terms of the benefit to Coffee County, let me say this about the technology. If you've ever been in a building and you're making a cell phone call and the call just drops, one of the reasons for that is that the cellular infrastructure was never designed to operate or to provide services in buildings. They were designed really to be used for the most part outside because the buildings block the radio frequency signals. And it turns out that the radio frequencies are owned by a group of companies, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. This is all public, by the way. And because they own those frequencies, no one else can use them except if you have a technical approach that allows you to use frequencies that they own but that they can't use at any given instant or space, point in space. If you come up with a way of doing that, so in other words, you're coming up essentially with a way of being able to scan frequency use. If you can scan and find frequencies that are owned by other people that they can't use, you can reuse them. And our relationships are with, we have the ability to actually address that problem, and it is especially well addressed with gallium nitride. We wanted to buy gallium nitride from a U.S. source as opposed to the foreign sources. And in order for that to happen, we are very interested in making sure that we get another opportunity with a gallium nitride initiative out of Coffee County.
So ultimately, to disclose the items that you want to discuss in an executive session would cause potentially irreparable financial harm to you and your...
To us and to financial and physical harm to us and our partners, particularly those partners that we hope to engage to influence the decision making. Now, one of the things I should also clarify is that once a decision is made by the Department of Commerce and they turn thumbs down on an application, that cannot be appealed. So we're not pursuing an appeal. I want to make that crystal clear. But there is another approach that I would like to share, and it is one that I think should be discussed privately.
Okay. We do a motion to enter into executive session for 10 minutes to include each of the commissioners and county councilor Wade Bowie and Dr. Carl Wyatt to discuss financial affairs, trade secrets of a corporation under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 75-4319B4.
So I think 10's enough. Can we do 15 for questions?
Sure.
You want to do 15?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So moved. Second. Been moved by Avendroth, seconded by Parker. We'll go in at 12:05. So Angie, you were on it.
I don't think you did, but you guys.
Thought I said aye.
Well,
Thought I said aye, but...
on the last motion, I'm not sure that we voted to go into exec session. I mean, we had the motion and the second. So I guess to fix it, we need to, vote yea or nay, so all in favor? Aye? Or what?
I thought I already voted aye.
Well, not ideal, but I think everybody getting up and walking out, going into executive session was,
This is show of the vote.
And I couldn't remember.
I thought it was a vote, but.
We were all in agreement.
Sometimes I'm in auto mode, so I assume we did.
And there's no action being taken as a result of that executive session.
Okay, we're back in session. Planning and zoning administrator Heidi Harris, discussion, review, and possible extension of case SU-2023-02.
I figured I might give a little background on what that actually is, since it's been 2 years since it actually said what it is, if that's okay with you guys. So that back in 2023 was to establish a chip manufacturing plant with fire/EMS services, daycare facility, training facility, and/or 2,000 parking places for employees/deliveries and visitors. So, reason why I'm back today is because if you guys were to review it today, tomorrow the special use would elapse and it would go away. Now the industrial side will stay. It would still be zone industrial out there, those 2 pieces of property. So, to kind of tag on what we were talking about last week, I kind of wanted to give you some more information about some other things related to that, so you have all the information to really make your decision today, if you'd like to extend that case or not. So special uses stay with the property that you guys approve, even if you plat it, okay? So if you were to plat that property, it's all going to be that special use right now, regardless if you plat it within that time frame that you did the extension for, 3 months, a year, 6 months, whatever it is. So what we have to do in that time frame, say for instance, someone else came in and was wanting to put something else that wasn't the specific use, we have to remove that special use that's there, that's currently there, and then go into another hearing for the next one that we'd be discussing. But it could already be outright permitted in the industrial district. So there's two points to that. It could already be outright permitted what they're wanting to do, which I have the regs here, which I would be reviewing, or it'd be another special use case that would have to be reviewed and approved. So my recommendation are 2 different options for you. So one, I would recommend that you extend the special use for another year to allow us time to build off the property in sellable lots. If you were to, for future development, to build it back on the tax roll. If we're to that point and you know how you'd like to plot it out. That would be one option I would recommend. The other one would be just let the special use go for this specific special use. The reason why I say that is because that new use that could be coming in, that we know is coming in, may not be that exact verbiage that we have already approved with this special use. Okay? And like I said before, it could already be outright permitted in industrial, so you would not have to have a special use for that. Like for example, maybe it's going to be a manufacturing plastics products. That's already an industrial specialty use here, or permitted use, so you wouldn't have to have a case on that. I could already give whoever it is a zoning permit to be able to go out there and start up a manufacturing of plastics products. I could do that right now. Just give them a permit and they go out and build, and then it's on the tax roll. But if it wasn't the same use, same process would apply. The process usually takes about 45 days at minimum, as long as you don't have extra hearings of planning board, of course, to finish the case, so they'd have to reapply for the new special use and get it approved, just like we had done with this one. So those would be your 2 options. But like I was getting at was, special use stays with the property. So even if a month down the road from now, someone else wants to come in, you still have that special use on the property. We still have to remove it anyway.
and then apply for
Redo for the
possibly,
new one.
possibly, if it's not outright permitted, yeah, you'd have to do that. So Russ and I are leaning towards the latter of asking you guys to do that, because if it's a new use, I'm still gonna have to weigh if it's outright permitted or not anyway.
So your recommendation would be just to let this
So let the special use piece go, expire for this one, and then what we do is we, as an I, would evaluate at the time of application where we're at. So, or you could do the sellable lots if you know what lots you want to do for a plat. I mean, that'd be the other option, and you could already have sellable lots out there for development. Yes, we don't have infrastructure, obviously, out there, but you'd have,
We can extend what we've got going now for a number of months, weeks, years, whatever, correct?
you could do that too as well, yes.
So Heidi, the existing special use, it's already gone through, it's been vetted, made it through this stage and has not been appealed during the time period. If it gets done again, would it be, if the commissioners decide to say, we're gonna let it go, and if somebody wants to come in and reapply, we'll have to go through that same process again?
Yes, it would, but it depends, it won't, so the current use you have out there right now is a chip manufacturing plant with fire and EMS, with daycare, with training, with the 2,000 plus parking spaces. The next person comes in, they don't want daycare, they don't want an EMS.
Right.
I mean, we made it really specific on this use here, that the next person comes in, you're still gonna have to remove the current special use that's there to reevaluate where we're at with whatever they're requesting, is what I'm trying to say. So I mean, we have a really specialized special use
Because
here.
the fire, EMS,
Correct.
and training were specifically
Do that
for that
application.
position, for
And
that
the 2,000
application.
parking spaces was for that application too. So, but you can extend it if that's what you'd like to do. But I would like, if we could, I would like to see platting done in that extension if we could, to figure out what you want to do. But if we're not there yet, then you can just extend it too, that's up to you guys. But
If it's just chips manufacturing without the fire and EMS and all that stuff, still requires a special use? Or is it permitted?
Seemed like they were gonna cut some of it out.
I think it'd still take a special use permit for actual chips manufacturing.
So because of how specialized our industrial district is right now, unfortunately, that use would still have to require a special use. But
A redo.
a redo, yes.
And
But
what-
the problem at the time when we approved that special use that I saw was, in our parking regulations, I couldn't outright permit you to have 2,000 parking spaces in one facility without bumping it into that application. So instead of making it two separate cases, I put it into that application. So let's say we get there and you guys decide to do a different special use with just chip manufacturing. If the parking spaces are above what's in the book, okay, let's say that, we could easily apply for a conditional use to allow for more parking spaces at that time, if that's what you guys would like to do instead. I mean, that we could easily solve that problem.
Concerning a special use, what's the timeline? If say we let this one lapse and then we come up with a new special use, what's the timeline to get it approved?
Up to 45 days at minimum. Because you gotta have 20 days for publication, and then you get to the planning board hearing, and hopefully you only have one hearing at that level. Because if you do, it gets sent out for 30 more days. Then you have 15 days after that before it comes to you guys to make the final say.
But no matter what, we're going to have to do another special use more than likely.
Possibly. It depends what,
kind of business comes in.
yeah, what kind of business you have come in. That's what it would depend on. And I'd have to review our permitted uses right here to see where it would fit.
So we could do this for, whether it be 3 months or 6 months or whatever, we could specify a time then.
Yep, you can. I provided you with a motion if you decide to go that route. But I just wanted to give you all of the information so
3
you could
months
be able
or
to
6 months, I mean, what,
make your
Just letting it
information.
expire.
I'm in favor of extending it 3 months. See what,
I don't care one way or the other, I guess.
So, if I can tell you what's still outstanding in the current one, this may also help with the decision as well. So a screening plan would still have to be submitted to planning board for prior approval of a zoning permit. So screening plan would show them where they're gonna build the buildings and parking places and all that good stuff, right? 2, follow the sanitation code. So they wouldn't go get the zoning permit without finishing up the sanitation, getting that started with Carl. So have to know what he's gonna do, lagoon, septic, whatever, okay? Condition 3, plating. So that's a condition that was put on the case because we wanted to be able to have different areas in that chip plan that was proposed. And then 4 was to have a letter of support to support the industrial park out there, obtained from Wholesale Water District number 12. So those are what you'd be extending if you were to extend this case, because we already have the traffic study that was already asked for.
So if the special use expires, it's still zoned industrial.
Correct.
So
It
the
is still
potential
zoned
for
industrial.
anything that's non-chip manufacturing still has a potential to come in.
Right here.
Because, yeah, chips is not recognized as acceptable use
Correct.
under that.
Say that again, Mike.
If the special use expires tomorrow, is that right?
Tomorrow.
It's still zoned industrial. You still have the capacity for other businesses that are industrialized to come in and put facilities.
So at that time, you would need to do another special use.
Possibly. It depends what's
Oh,
coming.
depends on
Yeah,
what.
it depends.
on what,
I have
okay.
16 different
Industrial
permitted
comes in.
uses that possibly could go under, but how specialized these are, the likelihood of it being one of those could be kind of iffy.
Because you were talking about fire EMS.
Correct. That's what.
So that's part of that,
Yes.
So,
Yes.
So if something was to come in now, within that time frame, they have to allow for fire, EMS, daycare, 2,000 parking spots.
Unless
That's,
the other kicker could be, it's all, lots of moving parts in this. Say you want to extend it 3 months. You have someone come in and say they want to do something else, okay? You have to remove the existing special use with a public hearing and add the new special use onto that property it's going onto, which would have a legal description. So you'd be removing the legal description from this case out of that and then putting it into this other case. So that could be an option too. But that does take 45 days to do the new one.
So if we end up having to do a new special use regardless, it would be quicker if we let this.
Yes. Yes, and it would also fix the issue that if you wanted to add more land back to the house, the only thing with that you'd have to do is just remove the industrial district that would be as part of that land that you were wanting to back to the house with too. So you'd have one less step on removing stuff for the house sale if you wanted to add more back, like the lakes or whatever. You were having a discussion about that a couple weeks ago. That would eliminate one step there too as well, so.
Would any of this item hamper what Dr. Wyatt was talking about here, if they all of a sudden, they get there to go at it, would it hamper them in any way if we let it lapse?
Possibly 45 days. That would be the only way we could possibly do a special hearing on that and have it occur in July, possibly. If there were to be something else come up that you were aware of that we could discuss and or you can extend it for that 3 months, 6 months, but like I said, you have all those other things that would be attached to it, and you still have to remove it.
I guess everything being said, I would be in favor of just letting it expire, but, because I think no matter what.
No matter what, you still have to remove the existing one unless they're doing all those specific
And
things.
more than likely, if it's not directly
Specific to the original site plan?
specific to that particular thing, because that was part of the deal to apply, if I remember right.
Yes.
To include fire, EMS, training,
Yes, and then the 2,000 parking places.
and the 2,000.
But like I said, we could fix the parking issue later if we had to, or concurrently with the new special use that you'd be applying for. We could fix it then as well. But yeah, there's no way I can permit that many parking spaces for a facility, not the current.
I'd refuse Steve, I'm in favor of letting it expire, and then she can have somebody come in with specific uses, then come back and reapply to the planning board and start all over.
I mean, that's,
Fix some of these conditions that are on it off, and
because if those conditions were specifically for that CHIPS project,
it may not be a necessity for someone else.
Well, what if you just want a month and give Dr. Wyatt a little bit of time?
Could do that.
we could do, so what happens if we give them a, say,
I come back in a month and say,
and do the same thing?
Commissioners, how would you like to handle this case in front of you? That's what would happen. So on July
Like,
2nd.
I'm good with.
Before July
I mean,
2nd.
Well, I would hate to maybe throw a cog into what he's trying to do. Well, we might have to wait 45 minutes on Coffee County.
Because at the end of that month, you come back in with this deal, and we could do the same thing. I mean,
Right, but are they actually gonna start building within that 45-day time frame? I mean, I'm not trying to be devil's advocate here and
No.
give you other things, but
Were you saying you have to have a hearing to remove some of those conditions?
yes, we would have to have a hearing to remove this special use on the case right now. Or, I'm sorry, on the property right now, because you have an existing one.
So it sounds
Oh,
like,
okay.
regardless, we would have to have some hearings.
So to your point, Todd, I mean, no matter what we do,
We're gonna have.
we're gonna have to do something anyway, so if this would be removing one step by letting this lapse, it would, if something came along.
This might actually be the quicker route. I
Client
don't want to
understands, right?
cause him any grief.
No.
Going back through this
You
zoning
still have to
process.
remove the case from the property, yeah. I mean, it'd still be industrial, so it would all hinge upon if it's outright permitted or not. That's the other kicker too, of what would be coming in. And not knowing what that is, I can't give you guidance on that one, unfortunately.
I'd say we good on letting it expire, yes, because no matter what we do, we're gonna have to do something, and this would take one step out of the deal. Do we need a,
Just do nothing and
Do
it
nothing.
expires?
if we do nothing,
It would just expire tomorrow. But you still have 2 industrial pieces out there.
right,
This all came from Russ, by the way. I did have about a 30-minute conversation with Russ, and we discussed this because I didn't know the process on how we remove special uses or what we do in this case, so we did heavily talk about this too. And that's where I hinged my information and decision.
oh, that's good.
So originally, the county was the applicant,
And he would still be the applicant because no one else owns the property.
so if it lapses, the county can
Reapply.
immediately take the
Reapply.
initiative to reapply and.
And we can easily have a special hearing, Todd. We can make it go faster that way. I mean, it won't speed up the 20 or 15 days, but it would
Right.
speed up the every third Wednesday issue. We could eliminate that one by having a special hearing, and then it would get to you guys sooner, possibly.
So if we do nothing, then it'll expire.
It'll expire, and you have 2 industrial pieces out there ready for development. Of whatever development that is, I would have to determine which route we go from there.
It is feasible. Thanks for coming up today.
No, thanks, man.
Okay, so you want to let it go?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we gotta make that motion.
We won't need that much. I'll let it go, and then once we know what's coming in, we'll be able to help guide you guys
If you
through.
can come back with a whole stack of applicants, and we'll do something.
I'll get with Ginny on that. How's that sound?
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Okay, I think we're going to adjourn at,
Do you wanna,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
do you wanna
sorry.
review over the minutes so you can tell me what to take out or add or change?
So do you actually have minutes, or you just want us to read what's in red?
Read what's in red, yeah. That would be what I'll put in the Word document for the official minutes.
Just looking at the minutes, on this budget request, I know I always asked, how much did we give them last year? I don't know if that's something we can, I mean, it's not a motion. It's just they come in and they request, a budget, they make a budget request for 2026. And I'm just always curious what we gave them for this year. If it's possible we include that. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I always wonder whether it's the same, or if they're asking for a little more or a lot more.
I'm good with everything on there. Yes, please.
On the heroes poll, just there's a name, I guess it's two names. That Crystal.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know if
there's
it
a comma there.
just need a comma.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it needed a comma or if it
Yeah.
was a real middle name.
I gotta find the numbers for housing authority. I don't have them with me right at the moment, what they requested for 2025, but I will add those.
Awesome.
For these, oh, awesome.
285,000 is what they requested last year.
Okay.
And 294,000 this year.
Yep.
Or I mean for 2026.
You stole all our budget requests.
I did, sorry.
Why? Because
I know, but
I wrote on it.
The only one I've mentioned is the bullet point indicating I recommend not detailing the minutes and making them bare bones. And that's a round table, so if we're gonna,
Don't put that in.
I don't think it needs to be in there.
So do you want mine in there? I'm requesting to review the minutes at the end of the meeting, just so I have what you want or don't want. I I need help.
To me,
Or I need
that's,
an education or something.
to me, that's round table too, I don't know if it needs to be in there.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
That being said, we'll adjourn at 12:48 on Monday. Thank you, everybody.